Good Friday morning. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to Real Talk, an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you kindly for joining us. We're live in Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. Today is a day that we will honor those who have fallen on September 11th, and we will do so by reaching out to the network of the distinguished gentleman, a well-connected individual who often takes the spotlight from him and his business and shines it.
Are we starting to cry already, and we're not even into this for a couple minutes?
On people that deserve it. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Keith Smith is our star. A gentleman that you can tell I respect a lot. Good morning.
All right, so how about them Mets?
We got this.
Yeah, we got this. We'll do this.
Introduction, please, to your friends
So
and family.
Yeah, so I am, thank you for that kind set of words. I'm blessed just to know some awesome people, right? And I'm blessed to be around some awesome people my whole life, and people to call them family, people to call them friends. And today is a day to pay respect to those folks and tell their stories. This is no, this is...
Forget real estate.
No real estate. This is no whatever. This is all about people that just got up this morning and went to do their jobs and didn't come home. And so I am the son of a New York City fireman and the grandson of a New York City fireman. My father is a lieutenant in Rescue 2, was a lieutenant in Rescue 2 in Brooklyn. So for those who don't understand the New York City Fire Service, to put it in a little bit of perspective, and I'm going to embed some videos so everybody can kind of take a look at it. But the rescue units within the city of New York, there's 5 of them. Each borough has one. To put it very simply, when other firemen are trapped or other firemen are running out of a building, this team goes in, right? So just imagine that. There's firemen that are trapped, the firemen go out, and they run, I was looking at some stats, they run an average of 4,000 plus calls a year. These are active fires. These are active rescues. These aren't just, hey, you're there. So they're over 10 runs a day. And just to put a little in perspective, so Rescue 2 lost all its guys on 9/11, which Rescue 1 lost all its guys. And what happened, because of when the towers were first hit, they were in the middle of a shift change. So what was happening is the guys that were coming off and the guys were going on all jumped in the rigs and went. So instead of having 6 or 8 guys in a rig, they were doubled up. And some of them, they saw Tower 1 come down and they're still running into Tower 2 to save people. And I'm not going to quote the exact number, but I believe there was like 35,000 people in the towers at the time. And this is going to sound horrible, but we only lost 3,000 some odd people. So that means they got 30,000 people out.
90%. 90% plus.
Before they lost their lives. So we're in a little bit of a hold pattern. We're waiting for a dear family friend, Vinny Camaj, to call in. His dad, Roko, again was killed. He's stuck on the West Side Highway trying to get in. I'm waiting for a text to come in that he is he's parked and ready to talk to us. But what we're hoping to try to do in the technology world is to get Vinny to tell a little bit about his story, not me do it, not you do it. Tell him about his family story, and I just can't, just to tell you the quality of the family. To tell Fox News, you have to wait because I'm talking to Keith and Real Talk. It's just the caliber of the people that the Camaj family is, and So we're hoping to get in there. I'm really very ill prepared for today.
Ill prepared, but prepared your entire life since 9/11.
Well,
Prepared your entire life since you were a kid. You grew up in this culture.
Sure, I grew up around this stuff. Yeah, I grew up around this stuff.
As prepared as you can be.
Yeah, sure. You never as a son of a fireman or a child of a fireman, and particularly knowing what my father did, that he was running in when everybody else was running out. You never really knew if your dad was going to come home or not.
Grown up as a fireman's son, give me some perspective, please, sir.
Well, I think I just did it. You never really knew when your dad was going to come home, and we bring on heroes, right? And the good news is, I know Dad, he's 80 now, doesn't have Facebook, so he's not hearing what I'm saying now live, so he's not going to hear this. But I'll tell anybody who will listen, if I grow up and become half the man he is, I'd be doing something. There is not, just to tell her the quality of the people, right, of these firemen that I've been grow up around, but in particularly my father. Some people don't like Jerry. Some people don't like Keith. Mm-hmm. I've never in my life ever met anybody that didn't like my father. Didn't think he was awesome. Never, ever, ever met. And it's funny because we were in business together, after he retired and came down here, he joined the company. It used to drive me nuts. Everybody loved him. Everybody hated, But yeah, and so I'm looking forward to them. We're going to call them in on the back end of the show a little bit live. There's going to be a story to tell. They were, through some connections, they were able to actually create a 9/11 memorial from a piece of steel. I can't remember which tower. We're going to let them tell that story. So that's, little old Fluvanna County, little old Lake Monticello has got a piece of one of the towers there. But, to go back to the Camaj family, there's a video we're going to embed. There was a Dutch production company, TV company, did an interview or did a life story about Vinny's dad, and it was right after 9/11. Actually started shooting it before 9/11, and then right after 9/11 they finished it up. And it's just, what a story. Immigrated from communism. Right? When he left Yugoslavia, it was communist. The whole story on how that happens is a whole show in itself. And as you know, we lived behind the Iron Curtain for a bunch of years, first half of the 80s, right? Go ahead and, get himself settled in here, get this job working, washing the World Trade Center. Just imagine that, right? Going up and down, washing the World Trade Center. And then, unfortunately, he was there 19 years ago this morning.
Where were you on 19 years ago this morning? I know where I was.
Yeah, believe it or not, I was working. I had that thing stuck in my ear. Well, not that version, right?
A little bigger version.
A little bigger version. But I had that stuck in my ear, and then, everything just started blowing up on the news, and just sat there stunned and watched it. And, like everybody else, they maybe thought the first plane was an accident. And 20 minutes later, it was not an accident. This was a terrorist attack. And it's, Yonna, I'm sure she's watching.
She is.
She reminded me today, and I need to do this. This wasn't just New York City, right? So we're going to talk a lot about New York. We're going to talk about firemen today. We're going to talk about, Vinny's dad today. But there was, folks in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the Pentagon, all the folks who were on the plane. Planes, excuse me. It's just, I guess the reason I wanted to do this is we talk about this, never forget. And I have this ability. We're lucky to have these cameras. We're lucky to have a great bunch of people. Hey, everybody's kind of hating on each other these days. But let's not forget this. These were people, not particularly firemen. There was 343 of them, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Ran in a building, got people out. Just think about this. Went up 100 stories, 105 stories. Had to walk up 105 stories to get to a fire and fight it. And if you know these mentality of these, they thought they got this. It was the greatest job in the world. They call fires jobs, right? And this is it, and we're going to go there. We're going to save lives, and then Tower 1 came down, and they're still running up Tower 2, knowing Tower 2 is about ready to come down because their job is to try to get people out alive, as many people out alive. And it's just the quality of people that, I'll never, ever get to that level of quality of people. So sound like I'm rambling a little bit.
You don't at all.
So
you sound as poignant as you ever have.
Yeah, I'm.
You're speaking from the heart.
Yeah, I'm not. I was trying to say earlier, I'm not prepared for ad-libbing today. So we're going to stick to somewhat of a script.
How about your mom?
Excuse me?
How about your mom during this?
Yeah, so, it's...
Married
to
a New York City fireman.
5 kids. So I was the oldest.
Right.
So it was my job to take care of everybody, right? And we're going to talk to Vinny here shortly. Vinny's the oldest in the family, so it's very, just the oldest son takes over and runs things. So it was always incumbent upon me to from changing diapers for my sister we talked about a couple of days ago. On Tuesday to to this. But yeah, in one way, it was the greatest thing in the world, right? Because they worked 24-hour shifts, 72-hour shifts. As I remember as a kid growing up, my father would come off and just grab me and say, "Hey, we're going fishing," right? Because it was his day off, right? But it's funny.
Your mom's watching.
Thank you. The women, the wives, right, or the partner, the other side, don't really get a lot of kudos, right? We're going to talk about these brave guys that ran in the building and went up and all this stuff. Just imagine what it took as a wife or as a partner to go ahead and keep their shit together, frankly. It's and these men are not easy men. They live on
alpha dogs.
They're alpha dogs. They live on the edge. They're
hard-nosed,
a little stubborn. Like to have a cocktail from time to time, but very alpha dog straight up. But the moment you just watch it, the moment something happens, the switch just goes and it just becomes something else. And it's pretty fortunate. I often wonder if I would ever be any good as a fireman.
You would have been fantastic.
I made the choice to join the Marine Corps, and I made some different choices in my life, and so I never actually did that. And frankly, I probably wouldn't be talking to you today. I probably would have I would have died on 9/11, because it was and my father can speak to this when he comes on. A lot of the firehouses back in those were intergenerational, right? My father went to this firehouse, I'd go to that firehouse, that kind of thing. But most of the kids I grew up around, their dads were either cops or firemen, and they became cops and firemen. But I probably would have been in the middle of it running up. I'd like to think I would be. So running up the stairs.
Your dad coming up soon.
Yeah.
Vinny coming up soon.
Yeah.
Richie coming up soon.
Yeah. So when we get to that back end of it, we're just going to talk what 9/11 means to these two guys, right? They're both New Yorkers. They both understand this. I don't understand it. I just understand it from growing up around it, and I guess I want to go back and finish the thought. The wives really need to get some shout outs, right? They're the ones that hold everything together, and they maybe don't get as many hero awards or medals and stuff like that, but they should. But yeah, but it was great. We had, we always did things together, right? We always either went over other firemen's houses. So your dad was a fireman. We hung out together and we grew up together. It was this this camaraderie, this thing, and maybe it was done like that either intentionally, unintentionally, but you were such around this group of people all the time. I joke around this all the time. I joined the Marine Corps, and then I realized, there's other jobs than firemen or cops. There's a marketing guy. There's real estate agents. I didn't know that. I thought that's what everybody did as growing up, because we were always around that kind of thing. And anybody who's on the feed that dad was a cop or a fireman, and Jody Mills, right? Dad recently passed away. God rest his soul. Was a DC fireman, and we used to have this conversation all the time. What it meant to be a child or growing up around this kind of stuff, and it's just it's kind of like Marine Corps boot camp, right? Unless you've gone through Marine Corps boot camp, there's no way in God's holy name, I or Bellamy or Rick or any of the other Marines that watch the show regularly can explain it to you. You just got to live it.
How about your neighborhood? You've talked about it some.
Yeah,
the spirit, the grit.
Yeah. So we moved out to Long Island when I was a young boy, right? So we started in Queens and Brooklyn and all that stuff. But we used to travel, So the neighborhood, I never really bummed around with the actual next door neighbors, because we were always around the group of other firemen. We always just did things. We would, the wives would go together, and obviously as kids we would be brought the kids along. So. Anyway, let me see. What do I got?
He's ready. I'm going to reach out to him now.
Good. I've been babbling. Thank you.
Vinny, we have you on the line. Thank you kindly for joining us on the show, sir. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you around to Keith Smith.
Okay.
He is in the city as we speak. Keith Smith, Vinny on the line here.
Vinny.
Hi, Keith. How you doing?
What are you doing, brother? You got to lift your phone up just
well.
a little bit so I can see the top of your beautiful head. There you go, man. Look at that gorgeous face. I've been ad-libbing for 15 minutes, brother.
I apologize.
So what happened? You get stuck on in the Grand Central?
West Side Highway.
West Side.
They shut it down here, and I decided to take it, and I got caught. I got caught in the traffic. I apologize for the delay.
No, you never apologize to me, brother. So, look, I know you got a Fox interview coming on soon. So, thank you for agreeing to talk with us beforehand. So, I tried in my best way to talk about your dad, right? And I failed at it for sure. So, what I'd like to do is first take 2 seconds, tell us a little bit about you, right? Tell us a little bit about your dad. And wherever you want to take it from here, brother. This is your time to celebrate Dad.
My name is Vinny Camaj. I'm going to be 42 years old on September 28th. I go down to the memorial every year. This is the 19th year since my father's passing. My father was Roko Camaj. He was the window washer of the World Trade Center, the outside windows. He was he considered himself the king of the World Trade Center because he was always on top. And one of his biggest quotes was, "It's just me in the sky, just me in the clouds up here. Nobody bothers me, and I don't bother anybody. It's just me in the clouds up here." And it's 19 years later, Keith, and you really never forget.
Yeah.
It's something that's not just today, but it's for the rest of my life, and it's every day that I find myself still mentioning my father and talking about my dad, or saying, "Oh, Dad would have said this," or "Dad would have wanted this," or it's 19 years later, and it's still so real.
So before you came on, Jerry and I were like, okay, we got to keep it together. We got to keep it together. We got to keep it together.
I'm thinking about cutting the grass.
Keep
it together.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to hold back the tears, brother. Your family means so much to my family, and we won't get into the whole details of that. But tell us a little bit about Dad. Right, Dad was an immigrant, right? came over from the former Yugoslavia, if I remember correctly.
Yes, my father was born in Yugoslavia. We're ethnic Albanian. He came in September 17th, 1969, and my sister was born September 18th, 1969. The very next day.
Oh, good Lord.
My father started, with the came here with the American dream. I think when he first came, he wanted to go back because he didn't know the language and it was very difficult. And one of his first jobs was working as a window cleaner for John F. Kennedy Airport. And somebody offered him a job at the World Trade Center. And it was more money, and he said, you know what, I'm going to try it. He took it, and we actually have him on video quoted. He said the first day, he was afraid. He was scared. He didn't want to come back. He said, I don't think I'm going to go back to work the next day. And then 2 days later, he said it was like nothing. It became the norm. He had told my mom that he was washing the windows inside, not the windows outside, because
right.
she knows she would have been nervous. And my mom actually found out that my father was washing the outside windows because my father was on the front page of the Daily News.
That's right.
And there was a big picture of him with his squeegee. It was him and his squeegee, and that's how my mom was walking to work and just happened to look at the newsstand and saw my dad's picture.
Oh, God. He must have got the living daylights beat out of him when he got home. Oh.
He said ever since then, he said she doesn't trust me anymore.
Yeah, you think? Look, I know you're recently married, right? And congratulations to the birth of your daughter.
Thank you so much, Keith.
I've been married 35 years. I'm going to give you a little secret, right? You know this already. They're going to find out anyway,
Yeah, right.
right?
Just tell
so
the truth,
you might as well just tell them. They're going to find out, right? You're going to slip, or they're going to. I mean, they're going
through the grapevine.
They're going to walk down the street and look at a newsstand and go, "Holy shit!"
Yep.
Right? It was funny on the way in. I was thinking of a story. So a little bit of family connection. How Vinny's connected to us. My oldest daughter, Yasmina's husband, Harry, and Vinny are best friends, and that's how we ended up getting together some 100 years ago. And so do you remember the story when Harry came over with Yvonne, our youngest daughter, to your family gathering, and all the cousins and stuff were giving her a hard time, thinking that Harry brought over a new girlfriend?
I remember it like yesterday. They all gave Harry dirty looks, and were like, "Who's that? Who's that?" And I was like, "No, that's Yasmina's sister." And then they were okay with it, but at first,
because they love Yasmina over in your family.
Oh my God!
So just imagine that. Yvonne, my youngest daughter, 26. She's a
pretty gal,
a Division I swimmer, built pretty well.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my son-in-law, bats into his family gathering and introduces Yvonne, and kind of forgets the rest of the conversation. Right? Oh, this is my fiance's sister. So
everybody was upset.
There you go. I think Yvonne, our youngest daughter, kind of loved it. She, look at me, she was doing it. So dad immigrates, lives the life story, right? American dream, gets a job on the thing. We're going to embed the story about dad in the feed so people can really learn about his life story.
I appreciate that.
This is a difficult question to ask. But tell the story 19 years ago today. There was a phone call that your dad made.
Yes. My father called from Tower 2, and he kept trying to get a hold of my mother, and at the time the phone was busy. Every time he kept calling, the phone was busy because everybody else was calling to see how my father was doing. And so when my mom answered, he goes, "What's wrong with the phone? Why is the phone always busy?" And she was just like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He said, he basically told my mom, don't get upset. I'm okay. I made it out in 1993. I made it out then, and I'm going to make it out now. Please don't upset my kids. We're all in God's hands.
What floor was dad on at that time?
He was on the 105th floor.
105th.
And the planer had already hit the building. So the plane was beneath him. About,
So he knew.
I think it was like 30 floors.
Yeah.
We have transcripts. We have transcripts of my father, and he's quoted speaking to a Port Authority supervisor. They said, Roko, over the walkie-talkie, they said, Roko, where are you? And he said, I'm on the 105th floor. And the gentleman said, Roko, we're sending people to come get you. And my father said, no, don't send anyone up here. He said, big smoke. That was his exact quote, was big smoke, don't send anyone up here. And I think about that quite often. I say, I would have personally been like, send me a helicopter, the Marines, like, do whatever you got to get me out of here. And my father knew, I feel like my father knew what danger it was. And he said, no, don't send anyone up here.
So, hey, Vinny, you're the same man, right? You're the same man.
If I can be half the man, my father was, I'll be a
So we're gonna interview my pop here in a little bit, and one of the things I always say, and the good news is he doesn't have Facebook, so he's not watching us live, so he doesn't know I'm going to say this. But if I become half the man he is, I'll be doing something in my life. I really will.
God bless Keith. Everything I know.
But
you
Vinny,
are one of the
Vinny, I
greatest
know
men.
you. I know you. I love you. You are you're your father, man.
Thank you,
So,
Keith.
very
Thank
proud
you so
of
much.
you.
Love you.
Love
and
you
your
to
family.
death. Sorry. Told you I was going to cry. So much for being a big ass Marine, huh? Right. So today, you guys, you're gonna go over to the memorial and pay your respects. Tell us a little bit about what is an average. I don't know if this is going to come out right, but on 9/11 in the morning they shut down. This is only for families only. Tell us what that's like, and tell us if that it can't help, but how does that feel? Does that make sense?
It's hard to explain. We never found my dad, so this is his cemetery. Like, I feel like he's spread across this land here, this property, and I have to say they did such an amazing job with the way they honored the people with the names and the waterfall, and it's every day. I mean, Keith, it's every day that you remember, but
Sure.
You come down here today and I look up and the towers aren't there. And I used to actually work in the World Trade Center in the same building as my father. And he used to come down to the 44th floor when I worked there, and he'd pick me up and I'd go to the roof and have lunch with him. So
On the roof.
I come down.
Did you go up on the outside?
Roof, yeah.
Did you go up on the outside on his rig, or did you go inside?
He let me step on his scaffold once, but I'm telling you, he held on to me by my belt so tight he wouldn't let go.
I can imagine.
Like, he was like, get back in here.
I mean,
I think also I probably shouldn't be saying this for legal purposes. He probably wasn't allowed to let me in there, but
it's okay.
It was like a split second that I went up there. But I'd enjoy lunch with him, and I look at some of the places that are still around here, and I just coming down here, I just look at everything, and I remember where things were and where we were together and where we grabbed lunch together, because some of the pizzerias and places are actually still open. So it's just it's a hard feeling to explain.
Yeah. So I know
it brings back.
I know you got an interview at 10:45 with Fox, and we got a couple more minutes before 10:40. I want to give you a breather to take a bit of a breather and spend a little bit of time with your dad before you have to talk to Fox.
Thank you.
But I didn't really have anything planned to talk today. If there's 0 people watching this, all I wanted to do was look you in your face and tell you, I love you, man. Thank you. And, anything, our family's always here for your family. And
I love you, Keith, and I appreciate you guys every day. Thank you so much.
I wish you had a little bit more hair on your head, but that's okay. That's a different story.
It's gone. It's
yeah. Well, grass doesn't grow on a busy street. So you got a family gathering this evening, right? Because you this afternoon. So
people always come over. People stop by. Nothing crazy. Just the immediate family comes by. We talk about Dad, and we have a couple drinks and some food, and that's it. I mean, it's been a tradition for 19 years. I go home and people just show up. And
you have to quantify
we reminisce.
The size of your family, though, right? So.
I'm having a baptism, and I'm only inviting first cousins and their kids because of the COVID, and it's close to 80 people, and
that's just first cousins.
I have, and that's first cousins. Basically.
That's just first.
We have a huge family.
Yeah,
from my mom and my dad, it's a very big family.
So.
Ask him how he's passing it on, carrying the legacy with the next generation of his family.
That's literally what I was just. Our chemistry is working, Jerry. I was just going to ask, how do you plan to pass this along to your next generation?
My father's birthday was on August 17th, and I brought my daughter down, and I'm actually going to send you the picture, Keith. You got to see it. And she's grabbing the flower on his name, because they always put flowers on the name for whoever's birthday it is. Like the building themselves that's what they do, and she's grabbing the flower, and I plan on bringing her every year. And I honestly, even this year, I wanted to bring her, but I was uncertain with the situation of how many people were going to be here, and I didn't want to expose her to too many people. But it's going to be a tradition that every year my daughter is going to hopefully I have more kids, but my kid now, my daughter Meadow, will come and join me for his birthday and for 9/11 and for Father's Day, and and just come here and celebrate his life with me. And there's actually a book out on my dad, and I can't wait until she gets a little older and starts understanding it, so I can read it to her, so she can understand who my father was.
Well, we're going to put that in the link, Vinny. I got you a little bit over. I got you at 10:41.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Yonna and I can't come up because of COVID. New York, Connecticut's not allowing folks from Virginia, but as soon as they can, we're going to come up and see you guys, and we'll get together and smoke a cigar and drink some bourbon.
Yes, I appreciate it, and looking forward to that, Keith.
I love you, man. Thanks for doing this.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Enjoy
it. Have a great day. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Comments. Iris Luck. Love you, Iris. My brother says the same thing when he compares himself to our father. We are blessed to have incredibly loving role models. Thank you for sharing your hearts. Kelsey, thank you for this today, Keith. Barbara Lundgren, love you, Barb.
There you go.
Thank you all for your service. Comments continuing. Jennifer Warren, wonderful show. Thank you for your service. 3 incredible men. More comments coming in. Keith's going to welcome his father and his friend Richie.
Richie Constantino. Mm-hmm.
Richie Constantino to the program in T-minus 2 minutes. They will be live from the firehouse.
We're gonna call them in live from the Lake Monticello Fire Department. We were going. There's a monument there. We were trying to set it up so we can actually do it in front of the monument, but the road noise and Wi-Fi and stuff didn't let it happen. But before we do that, maybe today's a really good day. If you haven't reached out, hopefully your father's still alive. If you haven't reached out, just reach out and say, hey, Pop or Dad or whatever you call them, I love you. That's it. Don't have to be anything more than that. Love you, miss you. And so if you have that opportunity, I'm blessed. My dad's 3 miles away from me. I get to see him on a regular basis. Oh, my God. No, I'm only kidding.
You are blessed.
Yeah, I get to see. And my mother. I get to see my mother.
Especially in a COVID time, where I haven't seen mine since February.
Really? Yeah. Where's
He's
Mama?
got health issues.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
Diabetes.
Oh, jeez.
Recovering quadruple bypass.
Oh, my God.
He doesn't leave the house.
Oh, where's Dad? Where's Dad?
It's outside of Asheville.
I'm sorry?
Asheville, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah, well, I offered this to you 100 times. I will sit in that chair and run this, not as good as you, but I'll run it. Go down and see your dad.
I'm trying.
Just do it.
Before
Before you know it.
Mom's concern.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Sorry.
But I am going to call.
There you go. You called Dad.
So I'm going to reach out to Richie.
Sure.
If you
I'm the one
could.
supposed to be crying, not you.
I respect you.
Thank you.
An introduction to Richie and your dad.
Yeah, so, I chatted about my pop a little bit before that. And Richie's the chief of the Lake Monticello Fire Department.
We got him on the line, guys. Keith has given you some kind words. If we can get you guys to activate your camera there.
Yeah.
Okay, camera's coming on. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. You guys are looking very sharp. You are live for quite a few people here. I'm going to turn the computer over to a man that I look up to in Keith Smith.
Don't bullshit me.
Did you hear that?
Richie, you didn't even let me start, and you started going.
We're not on the air yet, right?
Oh no, we're live.
Yeah, you're on the air. We're live.
Okay.
Well, that's Richie, everybody. Richie Constantino, and the other gentleman sitting next to is the hero of my life, my pop.
Tell
Lenny.
them the clothes they're wearing so people know.
Excuse me.
The jacket is.
Yeah, so Richie's the chief of the Lake Monticello Fire Department, and I think my father is his lackey, but I may be wrong.
Oh, nice.
So, gentlemen, we just wrapped up a rather tearful conversation with Vinny Camaj. Vinny's dad was a window washer, and was killed on the second tower, both we had a teary conversation. So I'm going to try to refrain from tearing up for the rest of this interview. This was super important to me. This was important to me to celebrate you guys and celebrate and honor everybody that lost their lives on 9/11, but honor you guys too. You guys are here making a difference every day. My father did it for quite a while as a lieutenant in Rescue 2 in New York City and in Brooklyn. So we're going to kind of kick this thing off. I'm going to start with Richie. Richie, tell us a little bit about you, and then what 9/11 means to you.
As you heard, my name is Richie Constantino. I was born and raised in the Bronx, a borough of New York City. I've been a firefighter for 48 years. I've been a chief officer for over 37 years. My family and I moved down. My wife and two kids moved down here when I retired. And as Keith had mentioned, I'm currently the fire chief at Lake Monticello Fire Department. 9/11, what it means to me. To me, 9/11 is, I've been saying it since 9/12. 9/11 is a high holy day for me. As everybody knows, we lost 2,977 civilians, and we lost 343 firefighters, a lot of which were my personal friends. We were friends. And 9/11 is the time to honor them, their service, their heroics. I do it every day. I think about 9/11 every day. But what is striking to me is that as time is going on, we're losing just as many people, over 2,000 people, with 9/11 illnesses that they got working on the pile or as a result of being in Lower Manhattan on that day, which is a pretty dramatic number. And during that, when that all happened, I mean, the country came together. Yeah, it was a tragedy. It was cowardness on the terrorist part, but the country came together. I remember vividly every street in the nation, houses with flags, catchphrases coming out, All gave some gave all. We will never forget. But as time is going on, in my mind, I see that starting to diminish, starting to wane. And they're playing politics with 9/11. And I'm not a political person, but look what New York City is going through now. We're trying to recognize 9/11 and honor those people on 9/11. They're not allowed to do the names, read the names. They're not allowed to have the lights in the air. And it wasn't for private people to do that. It wouldn't get done. And we're so divided now, the country. They're not like we were when it did happen, and that's disheartening to me.
So, Richie, you know, we didn't really prep too much for this, right? Just told you a couple of basic things I was going to ask you. And one of the things that I wrote down in my notes to talk about is it's not just 343, right? Every
That's
year,
correct.
I believe this year they added 72 new names to the list. So this terrorist attack, 9/11, is still killing firemen
Exactly.
every year.
And every year, over from 9/11 on, there's more than 2,000 people have died from 9/11 illnesses.
So
Related illnesses.
So these are so people remember these are the firemen that went on. They called it the pile, right? Went on the pile right after it came down, searching for their brothers, searching for the survivors, searching for whatever they could find. If those remember back then, that was on it. And correct me if I'm wrong, Richie, but these are because of all the toxins down in there. This is killing firemen and other rescue workers every year.
The air quality on the pile in all lower Manhattan at that time, if you recall, it was a haze of smoke with those all toxins from the furnishings in the two buildings that obliterated. I mean, there was no discernible debris. You couldn't tell a desk from a chair from a body, and it was all dust. And everybody was breathing. All the workers were breathing that in, and there's a lot of mercury from the fluorescent light fixtures that, as you all know, in the body buildings those sizes, all the lights, all that stuff became vaporized, and it was, and everybody breathed that toxin in.
So thank you, Richie. So Pop. So everybody knows I call him Pop. Everybody calls him Pop.
Among other things.
There are no FCC rules, but we're not going to do that right now.
I don't think we need to encourage.
We're not going to encourage that. Your youngest daughter, my sister, took care of that when we interviewed her on Tuesday. She got that. She got the F.
She used those.
She got the F word in, and it wasn't fun.
That was the whole week's a quota, Pop. That was the whole week's a quota.
That was the quota.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prepped 2 days for this thing with these guys.
They're doing well.
And said, okay, guys, I know there's no FCC rules, but please,
Thank you.
please. So, you retired in the 80s, if I remember correctly, but you were. Excuse me?
83.
So, but you never really ever retire from the New York City Fire Department because you're always together with guys and stuff like that. So, I told a little bit about your story. You're a lieutenant in Rescue 2. I got up a little early this morning. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to prepare for this because I want to make sure I do you guys justice and honor and be prepared. And I watched a video, and I'll send it to you, Dad, that was done right after 9/11, where it focused on Rescue 1 and Rescue 2. Really interesting. So I was watching it at 4 o'clock in the morning, bawling my eyes out because some of the guys I remember their names. But as I said earlier, and you're too humble of a man to do this, but you were a fire officer in a fire unit in a Rescue 2 in Brooklyn that typically other firemen were going out and you were going in. And I know you won't talk about yourself that way, but those who don't understand that that's a pretty awesome thing. So, Dad, I know what 9/11 means to you, but can you tell me what it means to you?
Well, first of all, thanks for this opportunity. I concur with the chief here, everything he said, the lack of interest and so forth and so on. I mean, 9/11 stands with Pearl Harbor, uh, and it's just a different time, a different culture, different attitude. But as you said, I went through all my paraphernalia. Usually when I talk about this, I get very emotional. But I went through the names and I picked out all the people I knew and their sons
Yeah.
that passed, and quite a few of them. And try to of course, my memory is not as good as it used to be, but some things just stand out. And I remember as a young fireman, and the old Buffaloes used to say, remember when you're running up those stairs, the people are running down from their home or from a secure place. And that's always stuck in my mind. Not that we ever hesitated, but that gave us the thought that they needed help up there. They left somebody of their family up there or something like that. And we always did that. Life was prominent. In '93, they tried to blow up the trade center by was it a bomb in the
Able
Bomb in the
nitrate.
basement.
basement? And every Sunday after that, the fire department had a multi-unit drill, and they kind of felt kind of confident. But there was always, let's go in and do what we can do. Now, I couldn't go, the people I worked with all came out of retirement home or whatever and went to the site. And I'm glad you mentioned all the steel workers, all the other people that come down there and worked on the recovery, police officers, whoever it was. They came down with these illnesses still to this day. So that I'm glad that was mentioned. And then you all, the family, bought me that Glade, GLADE plaque. That they have a plaque for those people
Sure.
who died after post 9/11 because of it. It shows you, when I went down to visit there, when I got in there, I just had a knee operation. And I was amazed at the collateral damage. You know, people that never went to the site, all the other, I mean, the Deutsche Bank, the different buildings, just totally collapsed. It wasn't the towers, only the towers. It was the peripheral buildings that went too. I don't know how many people went in there to shelter, but the remnants of the explosion came right in after them. So I don't know the specifics. But I was always very proud of, at least in my experience in the fire department, the men I worked with. And you know their families.
I do.
We all kind of lived together.
Yeah.
The essence of that was when that call came in, the night tour jumped on with the day tour. So basically, they were double manned going in, just because they wanted to go there and do what they could do. Consequently, they had more fatalities of them. But talking to the fellow now, Ray Downey, Pete Yancey was the chief of department. Pete and I were lieutenants together. He went to my old company, 124 Bushwick, and advanced right to the top. Ray Downey, my captain,
I know Ray.
and rescue. Ray, he and I and John Vigiano,
Yep.
all were appointed the same class. Now John lost both his sons. One was a policeman, one was a fireman. He was down there every day. and you know the names, Pete
I
Bondi,
do.
Lee ILP,
I do.
they all went down, but Lee lost his son, Jonathan,
Hmm.
and there's not much you can console them. They knew when they went on the fire department that it was a dirty, dangerous job, and people there needed help, and that's what they trained for. They went there to do the best that they could.
I was reading a
course.
story about Mr. Downey this morning in preparation of John, and as you know, I knew him. And so Tower 1 actually came down, and he so he was chief of the department, right, at that point?
No,
No,
that's you're talking about Pete Dancy. Dancy.
Dancy, I'm sorry, Dancy. So he went.
Yeah,
He went. I was reading an article about that this morning. He went in, and he wouldn't leave until his last. He was getting his guys out of Tower 2, right? And actually went in, and everybody was trying to get him out, and he wasn't going to leave. He ultimately perished, but he wasn't going to leave because he wanted to make sure all his guys were out. I was just thinking of that this morning when I was, and that's just, when you think about the quality of person, right? To say, hey, I'm not leaving until my last man is out. It's just knowing that at any second, that was it.
Right. Well, all those fellas are the same caliber. That Father's Day before 9/11, I think we lost 3 or 4 firemen in Long Island City, and Pete was chief of department there. It was on Father's Day of that year. We lost 4 firemen
Sure.
in a collapse in Long Island City.
Which is prior to 9/11 a huge loss, right? That's a huge loss. Not 300.
Well, yeah, we since
wall bombs.
my time on a job, and don't forget Pop Up, my father, your grandfather, was on the fire department since 1937.
Yeah.
And he went to the war, came back and went back on the fire department. So it was a whole different job, but the motivation, the execution, your purpose was life and property, and you worked it out.
So we're gonna let that call process through. It's not for you guys, is it?
No.
Yeah, got it.
We got comments coming in for the police chief and for your dad.
Fire chief.
The fire chief.
Yeah,
Leslie Cosner saying, I love Lenny. And Leslie Cosner says to you, Pop, I miss seeing him when we were both running calls in Fluvanna. We got folks in Lake Monticello that are watching for the fire chief. And, sir, they're saying to you, as a community member of Lake Monticello, and this is from Christelle, as a community member of Lake Monticello, your service to this community is appreciated. We will never forget you. We will never forget the firemen from 9/11. You are heroes.
No, we're not.
Yes, you are.
The 343 who died are the heroes.
And the others that have been perishing that went there to go, and that's that's.
Your son-in-law is watching, Pop.
James.
He says hello.
James is watching.
Hey, Jimmy.
We had James on the show, and I told the story about it took about a year before he told us he's lactose intolerant. We kept on feeding him cheese.
You couldn't handle that Italian cheese.
He couldn't handle the Italian food. So, as you guys have been talking, the director's been rotating pictures through the Facebook feed, which you guys don't see, and one of them is of the 9/11 memorial you guys have built there. So there's a bit of a story there how you guys got the steel to do that. So Richie, that's
sure, it'd be my pleasure.
So that's all about it's who you know, not what you know, and
exactly.
So tell that story if you don't mind.
We had a makeshift memorial up to a point where made a couple phone calls north to, as you well know, the World Trade Center was owned by Port Authority in New York, New Jersey. So I knew a lot of people, as did Lenny, up there. So I made a couple phone calls and requested a piece of steel. And I requested a 6-foot piece of steel in the shape of a cross. And said, Richie, we'll do what we can. And as luck would have it, they did find one, and they sent it down to us. Matter of fact, I went to pick it up. I went north to pick it up. And this was in June. And every year since 9/11, we have our ceremony of remembrance for 9/11 victims in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania. And we got this piece of steel in June. And I said to a couple of the fire guys, Lenny, one of them, Roger Wilkins, another person, I said, guys, can we possibly build a memorial by September 11th? And the outpouring of cooperation and hard work by the members of this organization, Lake Monticello Fire, was phenomenal. We'd have 25, 30 guys here every night after they worked all day long in the searing heat, hurricanes, working, 7 hours a night building a memorial. And Lenny was the crew boss, if you will, directing everybody, what we want to do, how to do it. I mean, I was just a dumb
Nobody
fuck.
listened.
I go, why not? Why should we?
Nothing
Oh,
changed.
here
And,
it goes. Real quick before you finish. So Jerry and I, we do this Batman and Robin routine.
They're the original.
They're the original Batman and Robin.
You got
Oh, yeah.
you got the Ridge Street Firehouse watching right now.
there you go.
You got the Almaro
You
Rescue
have-
There
Squad
you go.
watching now.
So you got a couple local rescue squads and fire departments watching, guys.
You have no idea how we banter.
Oh, I
That's
know.
what you want to call it.
That's
That's the G-rated answer, how we banter.
Thank
it's
you.
But,
so.
It was,
I'll say this:
it was
you
amazing.
like to bust balls. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll do anything to make somebody laugh.
There you go.
Or I'll break balls, Life is too short. You can't be stoic and have a stick up your butt all the time.
Well,
So you
today's
gotta relax.
an example of that, right?
Well, today's a tough day, but
I know it's a tough day, but today's a day to celebrate life, right?
yeah, oh, yeah.
Celebrate life.
So
So you got the
these guys,
steel.
They came together. I mean, I could go down a whole litany.
Lee Helpy was very
You interrupted me.
Yeah, let me talk.
Here we go.
Lee Helpy was very instrumental in getting
Yeah.
that steel. I didn't believe, right, how to get that steel was so complicated.
It was. Yeah, I mean, the letters that had to be written, the releases you had to sign, the paperwork. I have a file, obviously, in my file cabinet. Is very voluminous. All the documents that you had to do. Transporting it from New York to here was a pain in the butt.
Well,
And
well, to put a little
Right.
perspective to the value of that steel, right? Just to put a little. So we interviewed Vinny Camaj. His dad Roko was killed. They never, like many of the 343, they never found anything of him. So that is his dad's burial site, right?
Right.
And that steel is part of his dad, right? And part
Yep.
of his family.
Absolutely,
And that's why it's so hollowed. That's why it's so important that at some level that steel may have had contact with him or
Right.
whatever. That was the last real remnant of his father, and so that's why that steel is so hallowed and it's so important to do that. So I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish, Richie. I just wanted to get that in.
The process. I know. I have written record exactly where from Tower 1 that steel was recovered from. We got the coordinates and exactly where it was taken from. I mean, the record keeping was phenomenal. So anyway, we started in June, and by September 11th of that year, we had this place done, and the community outpouring we don't have a lot of money, as you well know, Keith. You and Yonna used to be members of the organization, and you know we don't have much money. We
Sure.
rely on donations, and we went hat in hand, Lenny, myself, and other people, to like Allied Concrete, Better Living companies. Say, can you? This is our mission. This is what we want to do. Can you help? The outpouring from the community was unbelievable. It cost us next to nothing to build that memorial. Excuse me. And if you come by and look at it, you'll be really impressed. Allied Concrete, a Better Living donated all the 6x6s that we used. Excuse me. I don't have COVID, so I smoke.
I'm about to say, do you want to take a cigarette break,
I haven't smoked
Richie?
for 45. 2 packs a day for 45
If you want to take a
years.
cigarette break, we can come back. It's not a problem, Richie.
Yeah, they're
I
right
know
there
that.
next
I
to me.
know that. They're right next to you. Take a cigarette break, and I'll talk to Pop, and we'll take on from there. It's okay,
But,
Richie, if that's what you want to do.
I'll do anything you want me to do.
Yeah, I know that's scary. That's the problem. You actually would
Don't
do
say
it.
that.
What color socks you got on today?
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. He busts my
Okay.
chops about my socks. So you know, a life lesson here, right? Know a guy who knows a guy to get what you want, right?
That's how the world works.
Yeah.
At least where I'm from, you know, you got a network, and
Yeah.
your network, you get to meet a lot of
The
people,
community was
and they help
great
you.
for 9/11. Even
He's going to get a cigarette.
right after the firemen went
He's
out
getting
and
a cigarette.
they went to the
Okay, time out, Pop.
Parking lot.
Time out, Dad. Time out. Kiddos, don't do what Richie's doing. That's not good for you.
well, we're really pushing the rules, you know.
We're pushing the rules.
Well, but
Now I
like,
can sit here for 3 hours and talk to you.
I know that, Richie. So, Pop, I cut you off. Please finish.
well, no, I mean the individual firemen here and community. As you know, a lot of this community comes from the Northeast. You know, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, Long Island, and just they all had somebody in the 9/11 casualties, and they were very, very supportive. The members went out with their fill a booth to get the money to build this. We've been begging, and we put the money into the memorial. And a little bit after that, so the memorial, we got to clean it, we got to do this. Every once in a while, you drive by, you'll see somebody sitting there, just sitting there.
Well, that's what it's for.
Trying to, you know.
We made it a community, not just for fire department and the organization. We made this memorial for the whole community, not just us. So anybody's welcome at any time to be there. We put benches so people can sit and reflect. And what's striking, every day, we have a group of women that run the lake. And every day they run up Slice Road onto the firehouse parking lot, up the stairs. As they run by the steel, they touch the steel and they continue on their way
There you go.
through the Slice Gate. And I find that so touching and moving that they take it out of their daily routine of running to stop and reflect and touch that steel. And it's moving for me.
So for those out there who don't have an opportunity and you want to do something this weekend, take a ride out. The firehouse is on the corner of what is it, Boston Creek? What's 616 now? Boston Creek?
South Boston.
South Boston
Road.
and Slice Road. It's easy to find. It's the only stoplight in the whole of Fulvana County. So just Google the only stoplight in Fulvana County. So what Richie is saying, this memorial is literally on a public road, right? So it's not...
Right. It's right by Dogwood, if you will, by Center Court. And not only is it a memorial for 9/11, people don't know this. We lost 2 of our own members before my time in 1989. They were killed in an ambulance crash transporting a lake resident to the hospital, and 2 of the EMTs were killed. And there's a granite with their names and their heroics that day for them. and we have
I
lost
know a
one
little
of
bit
our
about
own
that
members.
story.
Yep, you were around then.
And myself and Royal was working on that young man.
That's right.
We were there. We were there on 53.
Yep.
To tell that
we
story,
were-
go ahead, Pop. I'm sorry.
yeah.
So to tell that story, Yonna and I were running rescue squad. Yonna was a crew chief so Yonna was advanced life support. Yonna was a crew chief. She was supposed to run that call that day. And for whatever reason, run as crew chief. For whatever reason, we had something going on, and somebody else filled in for us. So anybody who's driven down Route 53, you know where Buck Island S-turns are?
Oh, yeah.
So what happened was, unfortunately, the rig, the bus, got its wheel in the ditch and flipped over and slid on its back down 53, and another car T-boned it and killed a bunch of people. And I remember Yonna and I and my father rolling up on that, and Dad and I working on a couple of people trying to bring them back to life. And I will tell you, I've often wondered what it would be like to be a New York City fireman. I would never know never know if I'd be good at it. I remember working that call with my father next to me, and we couldn't save the guy. But for whatever reason, it felt good to have my father next to me. That I knew we had a chance. So that was a true story. We gave him a chance. It didn't work, unfortunately.
Yeah, sure. Do the best you can what you have.
But it's funny, you know. It's just it's how life serendipity is, right? If I would have been on the job, Pop, you'd probably be talking about me in the past tense, right? If Yonna didn't take that ride, we would be talking about Yonna in the past tense, right? So guys, we're
Just keep going.
we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to put it for those who are listening, just to put it a little bit in perspective, you got a date or something, Richie?
Yeah.
He's sweating. He's sweating underneath the.
You make me sit in a hot firehouse where I could have been in my air-conditioned office, okay?
Oh, complain, nag. So, but little old Fluvanna County, little old Lake Monticello, right? I don't know how many other fire departments have memorials to 9/11. I know the new firehouse, the city firehouse, has a gorgeous piece of steel.
By Dirty Nellies. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. Hanging on Fontaine.
That's right.
Hanging on in their thing. But I don't know how many firehouses actually have that. And that's a testament to these guys. We joked around, know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, but that's really how it works. And Richie, we talk about the show all the time about, in the real estate world, you're either transactional or relational, right? You build relationships or you care about the transactional number. And we're all about building relationships. And that's how you get a piece of steel, is building relationships over decades and years of stuff.
I have a question for you, Richie. You have much of your neighborhood watching the show now, and they're giving you, they're saying thank you. You mentioned this early in the interview, Richie, of how 9/11 has become political and it's been politicized, and it's terribly, terribly unfortunate. How do we maintain the integrity and the character and the legacy of 9/11 as we grow further away from the date itself?
Off the top of my head, it's up to us to not let that happen. Politics being as it is, it's so divisive now. Nobody's working with each other, and whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or whatever, that's immaterial. All that stuff should be put aside. Prior administrations, they all worked together. I don't know what's going on now, why they're not even trying to work together. But it's up to us, Joe or Mary Citizen, to say enough is enough. Let's get back to what's important to us. 9/11 is important to us. Let's not politicize it. Let's let them shine the lights at night. Let them read the list of names of people who killed. Why do we bring in politics into this? This is not a political issue. It's a life issue. Politics brought it about with the terrorism, but the result was that all these people suffered, died, and we've been carrying it on. And let's keep it going that way. Let's not use it as a tool to divide us. Let's bring us all together, not to divide us.
So that's one of the
Yeah.
things we try to do on this show, and we've been trying to do this for almost 2 years now, right? And then one rule in this show, as Jerry says, the executive producer, I've got a title apparently, is no politics and no pointing fingers and no gotchas. Absolutely no reason for that.
Exactly.
But I'm fortunate enough, I'm blessed enough to be working with a team over here with Jerry and Judah. And, we're very fortunate. We reach a ton of people. And my only way I know how to do that is do what we're doing today, right? Get in front of people. Please don't forget. Please remember.
Right.
Please remember the ones that we lost. Please remember Vinny Camaj's dad. Right, though he was, he wasn't a fireman, but remember him. He was a hero too, right?
Absolutely.
And let's remember these folks. So that, to me, that's the answer, right? And just kind of keep on going out there and keeping it out in front of people.
You have the firehouse on Fontaine watching now.
There you go.
You have 2 firehouses and a rescue squad that are watching these gentlemen.
There you go. Well, if those firemen are watching, they know the capabilities of these 2 men. They know.
And we're very fortunate. Give a little plug for Lake Monticello Fire Department. We're very, very fortunate here to have career firefighters as members of Charlottesville Fire Department and Albemarle County and Henrico and Louisa. Not only they do it as a living, when they're off duty, they volunteer their time here as well. And that's how we operate so effectively and efficiently here because of members such as those people. Retired guys like your dad.
Well, the old guy.
The old dude.
Yeah.
So Pop. Go ahead,
yeah.
Pop. Go ahead.
Well, I just, whatever Richie says, I echo out. But to keep I never remember, ever saw, we're not going to work on this guy because he's short, he got long hair. That never entered. Never entered. In my experiences, when you're trying to help people out,
Sure.
you just go help them. Period.
Right.
Well, no matter who they were or why they were.
Right.
So
Whether they were rich, poor, big, short, white, black, yellow, whatever. That was never a consideration.
It's a life. You're here to protect a life.
So fire, right? Emergencies are the great equalizers. It makes us all even, right? You're in the middle of the as you used to call it, the Red Devil, Pop. I remember that as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't care. It don't care how much money you got, how much money you don't have.
Yeah.
Right? If you're trapped in a building and it's coming down around you, it's fire. You want to see a guy like Lenny Smith running in there to go ahead and save your ass. Right? It's what was that saying? That
Not today. You don't want to see Lenny Smith today.
No,
you want somebody.
No, I don't know about that, Pop. You're 80 years old.
Yeah.
I'll run behind I'll run behind you any day of the week. Twice
Keith,
on
don't let him
Sunday.
BS you. He has a few good ones left in him.
I know
Don't
he
worry about
does.
it.
Believe me, I know he does. But what is that saying? There's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole, right?
Yeah.
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 So-
Sorry to say, when you
So
load of,
Pop.
go ahead.
He's saying something too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't hear. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say, Pop?
We used to say, you fill up body bags.
Sure. So we're
Yeah.
we're getting to the end of our time today, and I know there's a couple of questions on the feeds, but before we do that, any last, the people that are not in the fire service, the people that are not in the rescue service, the people that really don't understand this, and we talked about this earlier. It's unless you went through Marine Corps boot camp, I can't explain it to anybody, but any words of wisdom or nuggets that you want anybody to hear about 9/11 before we wrap up? Either one, jump in.
Just be there for us.
Okay.
We're here for you. We always were. We always will be here. And though if you don't have an inclination to be a firefighter or run an ambulance, just be here for us. And
Never forget.
never forget 9/11. Yeah, don't forget the lives of all those who have perished, have gone before us, and the ones who are going to be passing because of 9/11. And God knows else what's going to happen in the future. with this crazy world we live in. Just be there for us, and we appreciate everything you do for us.
Thank you, Joe. I don't think we could have ended that in any better words. But before we sign off, any questions or anything on the
We
feed?
have a lot of people saying thank you for your service. Awesome show, guys. Constantly. I mean, it looks like you got how many homes in Lake Monticello? 8,400?
4,300.
4,300? I mean, Richie, you got half of Lake Monticello watching you right now.
Thank you.
This question's coming in for both gentlemen. What does being a fireman mean to you? And how do we continue empowering people to put on the uniform and be a fireman moving forward?
Great question.
You want to take it first, or you want me to go first?
Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, I'll go first. Being a firefighter, it gets into your blood. Like I said, I've been doing it 48 years. My brother, who recently passed, he did it over 50 years. My dad, it's a family business. But once you get into it and you become a firefighter, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of things. You just don't jump on a fire truck and go to a fire. There's a lot of behind the scenes you have to do, training and what have you. I can spend hours talking about it. But the sense of accomplishment, the sense of satisfaction you get just when you walk out and you help somebody, and you cope with the not so nice instances where you're pulling out dead bodies out of children or whatever. That's all part and parcel of it as well. But that's what you sign up to do. And I wouldn't do anything else. I said doing it 48 years. And I hope God grants me the strength and the ability to do it for another 48 years.
No, not 40.
No, I know. But, yeah, just...
That means you got to hang around, Pop, for another 48 years.
Yeah. That puts you, Pop,
And the
at,
last voice
150?
Something like that.
And the last voice he hears is mine.
I think my mother might have something to say about that. Richie, I'm just saying.
You know, one of the things where I, as a young fireman, as you know, Keith, I don't know if they know about you, but Keith and I did a home building business.
They know.
And,
they know.
And he worked as hard as any two men physically. But I never worked as hard as I did as a fireman in Brooklyn when people were trapped.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
So Dad, so just to go back to those years, right, I was trying to explain what Rescue 2 is, and, you know, the reality of it is you were going in when other firemen were coming out, and people, but most of, you know, a high percentage of your runs or your calls, there was an active fire, there was people trapped. You were running 10, 12 calls a day. I mean, real jobs, not hey, hop in a truck and come back. Is that true?
yeah, oh yeah, right. When it was a high dense area,
Yeah, he won't talk about it.
populations which change, a lot of combustible material, people on people. You know, you had arson hire for arson, and you know, it just, you have a building with 14 apartments or 44 apartments, and just one of them goes on fire, that affects everybody else.
So,
you know?
so the people that
If I may,
sure,
your father, you know how humble your father is.
yeah, I know that. Yeah,
Let me be succinct, and this is an expression that goes through the whole fire service. As we all know, anybody in a rescue company, Rescue 1, 2, 3, whoever, are the elite. When people are in trouble, they call the fire department. When firefighters in trouble, they call rescue.
thank you for putting it that way, Richie. I couldn't
said, Richie.
couldn't figure it out. So just that, and he's too humble
I
of a
didn't coin
man
that.
to say that. Unfortunately, I have lacked that
Humility.
humility. I'm okay.
Pop, can I throw something to Pop?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I've had the absolute pleasure of getting to know your son
Oh, you're gonna
over the last couple years. And this is coming from the heart. think the world of Keith. Spent a lot of time with him over the last 2 years. I mean, we're talking a lot of time. Look up to your son. And I want to thank you. Because he's A+.
Thank you for saying that.
He's A+ people in my book.
Right. He kind of filled out when he went into the embassy corps, and the embassy battalion, if I got this right, Keith, is under the State Department, correct?
Yes.
State Department, not the Marine Corps.
That's well,
And
correct.
he was much better before he got that.
I knew that was coming.
State Department.
I knew that was coming.
The Smiths are class
Oh
people.
God, you should see a Sunday dinner.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. You guys
Thank
made
you,
everybody
Joe.
better
Thank you.
today. We'll close on this. Someone just posted on the show. Thank you for your service. Thank you for talking about this. We will never forget. And thank you for giving us topic material that can bring Charlottesville and Central Virginia together
There you
at a
go.
time when everybody is fighting.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Exactly.
You guys have a good
Thank you,
afternoon.
Hey,
Take care,
I
guys.
love you, Pop.
Thank you.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take it easy, Duke.
Bye bye.
I think this is the best show we have ever done on the I Love CVille Network. Every show we've ever done.
Oh, I'm honored that you said that. I know.
I mean it.
Oh, thank you.
I think you know it.
Well, I just wanted to honor some special people in my life, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to people that are taking their time to spend with us, which is you know, I got up early this morning. I prepared. I went for a bike ride, and as I was bike riding, just the honor that somebody's prepared to spend an hour or whatever amount of time we're talking. I don't remember. I don't even know how long we've been talking for. Out of their day to listen.
92 minutes.
92 minutes. Wow. To listen to me and to you and to us, it's just honor. You know, it's just I can't put it to words. And you know, when I can't put something to words, you know, it's a problem.
First time I've ever seen that.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, I think to wrap up around Pop and Richie and Lake Monticello Fire Department and all the other fire services that are watching and the other EMS services that are watching and the PD and all that stuff. And, you know, again, putting all this crap aside that we're in the middle of right now, you know, why don't you help them help you, right? Reach out to them, particularly the fire services, particularly Lake Monticello. You know, they work on volunteer cash, right? Funds, right? And if they don't receive volunteer money, they can't serve you. You know, when you dial that phone or you hit 911 and you have an emergency, these guys show up, regardless if you contributed or not. So if you can, reach your hand in your pocket and help them out a little bit.
Shelley Campbell. I love me some Lenny and some Richie.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your service, guys. Lots of respect for them.
Yep.
Man, your community is watching this in force right now.
Yeah. It's
Iris, I love you, Iris. Stop making us cry, guys.
yeah. I'm doing a little better than you
I
are.
know. You started talking about, got me thinking about my dad.
Yeah. Well, go see him.
I wish I
I'm blessed.
could.
I'm blessed. Well.
Mom doesn't want it.
Oh.
She's afraid of
Well, do you Skype
the
him?
health.
Do you
Yeah,
Zoom him?
all the
Okay.
time.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. Just reach. I know. Yeah. You know.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. You know, Jerry, I love you. I consider you a very close friend.
Same.
And I wish I could give you some advice, but I can't.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. You know, you've got to respect Mom's wishes, and so. But I'm blessed. You know, I get to see that face all the time, right? Like I said, I get to sometimes maybe not so pleasant. But yeah, you know, we're super blessed. You know, it's you know, my grandson, which is his great grandson, is almost 2 years old, of 20 months or however old he is. You know, there's two Pops. There's me. He goes Pop, and he sees my father, and he goes Pop. You know, so
awesome.
yeah, it's I'm super blessed to have a family, you know, and the family that I have, and you know, sometimes we get into each other's faces, but at the end of the day,
You hug it out.
I hug it out.
Yeah.
You know what? Now with masks, but we hug it out. So thank you for letting me do this, Jerry. I know I want to say thank you to you. I want to say thank you to Judah.
Of course.
I pushed you guys a lot the last 2 days to prep for this, and you guys has always stepped up. And I want to say thank you to Vinny, you know, to share his story. And you know, I cannot overstate how important it is that he actually told Fox News, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you now. I'm going to talk to you then because I'm talking to Keith and Jerry and his thing. So just first class, first rate people. And if I ever grow up become anything like these people, I'll be doing something.
Guys, this is Real Talk. It's a show about real estate. Today it's a show about
Real life.
more important things.
That's
real
exactly
life.
right.
And
Exactly right.
what this man's doing with his show is shining a spotlight on people that deserve a spotlight. And he's saying, we have this following, but we're not going to talk about business. We're going to
Today's
talk
not a
about
business
the community.
thing. Today's not a business thing.
And that's a reflection of his character. Keith Smith, Yonna Smith, the Yes Team Realtors. Tuesdays and Fridays, 10:15 to about 11:40
Ish. Ish.
on the I Love CVille Network.
So who do you got coming on at 12:30?
We have a mom who is working through virtual learning
Good.
while running the Ting operation in this area.
Oh.
No easy task there. So we'll spotlight that.
She's a rock star.
And we have someone from an organization that means a lot to you,
Oh, the Land Trust.
Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust. And we're going to spotlight an individual from Nassau Street, a family.
Oh, Shaw. No.
Yes. Judah, you can help me with the name. I have in my
Yeah,
notes on my
I
desk.
should know. Excuse me?
The family we're
From Land
spotlighting
Trust.
from the Land Trust today.
I got the name. I
Yeah,
just
it's
can't
on my
remember
desk
it.
right there.
Got it.
Yeah, and we're
Cool.
going to spotlight the organization that means a lot to you.
Yeah, it does. Mhm.
So thank you.
All right. I think we need to take a
I think we
breather.
do.
I think we need to
think we
wipe
do.
our tears
Yeah,
and get ready to rock the world at 12:30.
that's right. Everybody have a good day. Never forget, and thank you for joining us on Real Talk.